Hello and welcome to the show. This is the Sales for the Nigerian Business Person podcast. It's available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple iTunes, or any podcast player of your choice. So subscribe for free once you're done listening to this episode, just in case you're using your web browser to listen. Today on the show, we have audio recordings from the WhatsApp School of Business program that I advertised on Saturday, the 15th of July 2023. The goal of the program was to introduce folks to the fundamentals of doing business in Nigeria and to show how sales and business development principles can help you overcome the harsh landscape of doing business in our dearly beloved country. I also wanted to answer general business questions posed by the participants, and the program was delivered entirely over WhatsApp for the course of more than 1 week. And this is an example of how you can get truly convenient business education in your pocket and learning over WhatsApp at your convenience. If you love what you hear on the podcast and you like daily access to me, to ask me questions related on how to sell in your business, then the WhatsApp Coaching Club is now open, and the investment required for that is only 5,000 naira a month. You ask me anything, I give you answers and assignments to move your business forward. So if you're interested, hit me up on the socials. Don't worry about how to spell my name. I spend most of my time on LinkedIn, and my name, Tabashima Ayede, is the correct spelling. You can find it in the web browser where you're currently listening to this episode. You see the spelling of my name, the email address, and the photo, and it's also in the profile of the podcast app where you're currently listening to my voice. So Tavashima Ayede, the correct spelling of the name, is there. So if you're interested in the 5K, the WhatsApp Coaching Club, the 5K monthly investment, then let me know. Hit me up, send me a message on 080 6466 2140. The country code for Nigeria is +234. And for those of you who are trying to save to start a business, I'm affiliated with a reputable financial institution in Nigeria that has 504 billion naira in assets. And what that means is they're not going to go broke anytime soon. They're a secure organization to work with. They're not going to run away with your money anytime soon. They're in the business of protecting and guaranteeing your savings. This is not a bank, so you're not going to have an ATM card. You're not going to get hit by lots of miscellaneous fees. And you're going to get an interesting, or rather, you're going to get an improvement on the interest that you get from regular savings banks in Nigeria. And then, of course, this is safer than using loan sharks for the capital to start your business, because loan sharks are going to want to embarrass you and your whole family, and they want you to put your father and your mother up as credit. Sorry, not credit. What's that word? As collateral for the loan. So if you're interested, then hit me up on 080 6466 2140 to get started on saving towards your dream. Now remember, it doesn't have to be saving towards a business. Any savings plan will do. People have saved with this organization for their children's education. Let's say, like me, you have kids in primary school and you're wondering about secondary school and the all-expensive university education. And then, of course, folks like my mom saving towards retirement. So if you're interested, hit me up and let's get you started. Now, on with the episode for today. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Wednesday, the 9th of August, 2023. My regular recording space is still not available, so you guys have to make do with interruptions in the audio. So I was going to come up to respond to Elizabeth's questions, because remember, I tackled the first part yesterday. I can't really remember what. Anyway, you just refer to the earlier audio and you see what my response. So I was going to come over and tackle the second question, but then I noticed that Dr. Zainab has posed a question. She wanted to know, is that one question or more like two? She wanted to know if it's okay to reduce the size of the package to make it more affordable, because yesterday's response was around price. Oh yes, I remember now. So his response was around price. All those people that say, I like your product, but it are too expensive. And then I also shared a podcast episode that I recorded sometime last week on what to do when people say your price is too high. So those were the two resources that we had up for Elizabeth yesterday. And Dr. Zainab now has a question. That is it okay to reduce the size of the package to make it more affordable? That's an idea that she has come across in another business forum, not this one. And then she also wanted to know if it's the same thing as reducing quality. That's if you reduce the size of the package to make things more affordable. Is that the same thing as reducing price? And is that the same thing as reducing quality? Now, the answer to the question is no. If you reduce the size of the package, then usually you're keeping some kind of quality constant, or you're keeping some kind of price constant. So it's not the same thing as reducing the quality. And the example that she gave was cowbell. Yeah, I think it was cowbell that she gave. Cowbell, Niger. And yeah, that's a perfect example. So when cowbell reduces the size of the sachet or increases the size of the tin, usually they're holding something constant. They're holding quality constant, or they're holding price constant, or both. So using that as a business strategy to get around the price thing, that's not a problem. It actually is a good idea. So is it a good idea to switch up the packaging, reduce the packaging? The answer is yes. Now remember that Elizabeth is involved in Elizabeth, the person who we're answering the questions on behalf of. She's involved in the souvenir space. So usually it's multiple items that they're dealing with. So it could be a pen, and then a pencil, and an umbrella, and then a towel, and a what do you call this thing? Diary, and then maybe jotter, and maybe a mug. Those sorts of things. So yes, she can switch up the quality. So instead of putting all those things there, it could just be an umbrella and a jotter, or a jotter and a biro only, or an umbrella and a mug, and there are different kinds of combinations that can go with that. So actually, it is a good idea for Elizabeth to try out. However, it is a strategy that you can only use when you have done qualification in your sales framework properly. Now, for those of you who are new on the group, qualification is the part of your selling process, your selling framework, where you're engaging with people and asking them questions. You're having a conversation and you're trying to figure out the use cases. What are they going to use this thing for? And you're trying to figure out the problem. What problem is it they have, and what is it that they actually need to achieve? So that's the reason why it's important for you to have a selling framework in the first place, because a lot of you are engaging in this conversation and trying to change the packaging and things like that without having all the data that you need to make all these pricing conversations and all these quantity or all these quality conversations, because you're going in blind. But then if you go into this conversation, if you go into this kind of scenario and then you run qualification properly, you're going to know who is it that you're talking to. Remember yesterday for Elizabeth, I gave two scenarios that we could either be talking to corporate clients, which is what she has decided to do now, and I think it actually is a good decision. And then you could be talking to private clients who are in the wedding or the event space. So, if you're talking to corporate clients, you would have had the conversation with them and you'd have known that, okay, all these souvenirs that they want to buy, is it for their high end clients? Or is it for the everyday kind of client who walks into the bank branch? You would have had all these conversations and you'd have gotten a sense of how much that they're willing to spend on the high end people, how much that they're willing to spend on medium accounts, and how much it is that they're willing to spend on everybody that just walks into the bank branch. Let's say you're talking to the bank branch manager in let's say okay, no, she's based in Lagos, so let's say Ikeja, Alausa. Is there GTB in Alausa? Yeah, I think there's GTB in Alausa, not far from this shopping mall. There used to be one shopping mall there, not far from Cadbury. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, so yes, so let's say she's talking to the GTB manager, Alausa, and you have all these conversations. They're called qualification conversations because you're trying to figure out exactly what it is that they're trying to achieve. They might have some high-end clients that they haven't seen business from in a while, and they want the marketers to have an entryway to start having conversations with them. And so in that case, maybe for those ones, you'll be creating some real nice packages for them. Maybe two mugs, one for Oga, one for Madame, and maybe two biros, but the biros will be golden plated, or golden whatever it is that you souvenir people do with their name on it, and then maybe a nice towel or something wrapped together in a box, and then you price it for them that, okay, this is what we're going to be doing for the top tier people. Then the bottom of the pack, all the normal people, all the people that have only 5k in the bank, who come in and complain every day. Maybe those people, one jota and one biro or something like that. Those cases are easy. And then, of course, if you have much more qualifying conversations with them, you're going to be able to now come up with special packages for the people in the middle. And when it now comes to the close, that is where you're going to close. So it'll be a matter of, okay, okay, branch manager, we've looked at all these options, Abby. Which of these options do you guys prefer the most? And then you start the conversation there. So when they start talking money and they start talking up and they're talking down, it's a matter of, okay, you know what? For our top tier clients, instead of two mugs, one for Oga, one for Madam, and two golden plated biros and one towel, let's leave it at one towel and let's leave it at one mug and yeah, exactly, and then you adjust the price based on that. So these are very, very important conversations to have, but they only work when you already have an established sales process. The problem is a lot of you listening to this audio right now do not have a sales process. You're going in there and then you're freestyling, and then the manager will say, how much, what is your last price, and then you're now trying to do mental math in your head. We need to have sorted all these things out before we entered into that meeting with either bank manager or with procurement manager or with operations manager or whoever it is that we're talking to at the bank, assuming you're Elizabeth and you're involved in these kinds of businesses. It's also the same thing when you're discussing with the wedding person as well. You need to have had qualifying conversations ahead of time. Okay, yeah, it's a good idea. What are your wedding colors? What is your wedding date? You need to have all this information to know whether you have those colors in supply and whether you can meet that date. Because the person might say, "Oh, my wedding is next week Monday, and for you next week Monday is too short a time." You need to know all this before you start. So you ask all those questions. What are your wedding colors? Okay, well, first of all, you have to build rapport. Oh, congratulations! Where did you guys meet? Okay, you people went to University of Ilorin. Even me too. I went there. What's that? I didn't know you people. Congratulations! Blah blah blah. Oh, such a wonderful love story. May God bless your union. You people will have plenty of children, blah blah blah. All that small talk. Then you move into, okay, what are your wedding colors? Because you need to know the jotter, the cups, the biro, the umbrella, the whatever you're designing for them. You need to know your boys who are designing these things or the people you're buying from. Are you going to be able to uh, design the kind of things that you want? So you ask all those questions. What are your colors? Do you want Ankara? Do you want this style? Do you want that style? And then you have to get to the money question. So how much are you willing to spend per head? And then she will tell you that, look, you know what? We have 800 people. We have 1,005 coming for the wedding, but we only want to prepare souvenir for Mom's side and for Pop's side. So we're only going to do 400 people, and we're only going to spend 1,500 naira per head. You know, see how we are supposed to have a sales process and be having these conversations ahead of time up front. It's not a matter of saying, oh, we have this, we have this, we have this, we have that. You call price, then they now start pricing. Have a proper selling framework that allows you to have these conversations well ahead of time. Qualify these people ahead of time. Know what it is that they want. Make sure that you guys have the same expectations around money before you guys start talking price. Because it's really frustrating to go and sit down there and then you give out all your wonderful options at 4k per head or at 5k per head, and then the person is telling you that no, we're only spending 400 naira per person, or only spending 1.5 per person. You need to have all these conversations up front. That's why it's important for you to have a selling framework and to know the important part in the sales process. So it's only when you know what a selling framework is, you have a selling framework, you've practiced it, you've internalized it, that you can start having these qualification questions. So for those of you who do not have these frameworks and processes set up in your business, that's the reason why we should explore the paid options. So I have private consultations at 15,000 naira. The paid group is available at 5,000 naira, where we go into details to make sure that we can execute on these sorts of things. So it's a brilliant idea, but it only works if you have done qualification properly ahead of time. That way, you know what it is that you are adjusting. So this is how it's going to work in a business to business scenario where Elizabeth is selling to corporate clients like bank managers or factory manager or whatever, or if it's a business to consumer situation where Elizabeth is talking to a bride, or maybe you're talking to a mommy who is getting ready to do birthday for her first son. Sorry, one moment, please, one moment. Sorry about that. Like I said, the kids are in the house and needed my attention for a moment. Okay, so let me just wrap it up here so I can go and attend to them and then to other things. So, yeah, so that's the framework. So, Dr. Zainab, that's a brilliant idea. You can change the package, reduce it, um, reduce the items in the package to make it much more affordable. But that only works if you have a sales process. If you don't have a sales process, you don't have a selling framework. If all the things I'm talking about sound like a wonderful idea, but you still don't know how to go about it, hit me up privately and then let's see how we can work on that. Dr. Zainab also gave a case study to explain the kind of things she's talking about, cowbell, and it's good. And that actually is a good way to reinforce some of the things that I was talking about in yesterday's message to Elizabeth. Sorry, forgive me, because of the Z, I keep forgetting whether we're on Zainab or whether we're on Elizabeth. So, yeah, cowbell. It's a very good case study. When cowbell first came into the market, when some of us were children, we already had peak milk. We had 3 crowns. We had there was peak milk, 3 crowns, and I can't remember who else. Then that's when cowbell came. You know, cowbell, milk, something like that. I think that's when I was in. I think that was like my secondary school, maybe, like my secondary school. So, but that was my case in point. Cowbell didn't come in and immediately start competing on price. They came in and they competed with the same price level against 3 Crown and against the other local brands. People were not competing with Peak Milk back then. Peak Milk was I can't remember the name, but I think they're a company from Netherlands or something like that. So Peak Milk and that Netherland company and there's another milk like that. Those are the big boys. Then you had 3 Crowns, local brands, and then Cowbell. So Cowbell entered and competed against these people at that same price. It was only after Cowbell established itself at that price that they now entered the lower tier market by introducing the sachet. And that's exactly what I'm trying to recommend to you guys because too many people enter and then they start trying to fiddle with the price. Don't fiddle with the price. Before you came in, you already did some research. You spoke to your friend who is doing the business, or you spoke to Momsy, you spoke to your Popsy, you spoke to your husband, you did some research. You already have a fair sense of, okay, this is how much people are pricing. You've entered with that price. Start competing with that price. The other things that you have to fiddle with to grow your business, stop tweaking the price. You start tweaking the price here, you tweak the price here, you're making things difficult for yourself. You're cutting your profit margin and you're now inadvertently entering other market segments that you don't know how to compete in that won't be profitable for you. So, in my own opinion, just like cowbell, enter, keep your price, compete first when you can stand and when you're profitable and you can see the lay of the land. You will now be able to consciously say, you know what, there's another market segment. Let us enter that market segment. So Cowbell came in, they didn't change their price. They competed against 3 Crowns and all the other people that were on ground. After that, they now started the innovation and saying, you know what, all these poor people that go and do Meshai, let's do something for them. So they'll just buy one sachet. So they just buy one sachet like that. And so that's how they entered into the lower tier market. So just focus on building your business at the current price and don't worry too much about tweaking price. Usually there are other things that are more important because like I told you, even though this is a brilliant strategy of changing the size of the package, usually you will find that you are not I'm willing to bet anything that whatever the business you do, you are not the most expensive person in the business right now. There's somebody who is charging 20%, 30%. You'd be surprised. You even hear that there's somebody who is charging double what you're charging, and the person is doing fine. So there are other things that we can tweak to grow our business. Build it at the current price. When you're stable, you can now start looking at other segments because cowbell started that thing of everybody looking down. But now there's something that they started doing. They have now they've now started looking up to newer markets. If you notice, well, I haven't traveled to Lagos in a while, but in Abuja now, they're now doing these big things. It's like they're targeting bakers. If you go to baker stores now, you will see the big ones and large households. So they now have 3 kilogram tins, 5 kilogram tins. In fact, you see some tins, and I'm wondering, who is going to drink all this milk? And but my sister-in-law, who is a baker, she says, don't worry now that we're here. That's what we do. That even apart from us using this milk, the hotels will buy it, and so the other segments as well. So, Dr. Elizabeth's suggestions are really, really wonderful. Listen to the audio again and you will know how to execute it. But I guess the reason why I'm going hard against this whole don't touch your price thing is because of this. Business can be scary. When we're not making progress, sometimes we look for the easiest thing to start tweaking. So, when you have problems, the first two things that anybody will tell you to do, or the first thing that you yourself will even do, is you will say, let me change my branding. You will now start saying, let me change logo, let me change font, let me change color. Then you say, oh, let me change price. Sometimes you will even say, let me change location. Let me maybe my office here in Garki is not good. Let me move to Wuse too, or something like that. We start making all these easy ones that we can see and we can point to. And sometimes the problem is not the location of your business. Sometimes the problem is not your branding and your font. It is not your logo. And sometimes the problem is not your price. So yes, we will get to the point where we have to change all those things. But please let us not start tweaking those things in the beginning. Let's make sure that we have a sales process and a selling framework. If you don't have a sales process and a selling framework, that's where a lot of you are losing money, because you're not having the right kind of conversations, you're not executing the right way, you're not closing the deal the right way, you're not getting all the data you need to negotiate properly, and you're not getting all the data that you need to improve your businesses. So please, let's leave price as a last resort, but holding quality constant and holding price constant, yeah, by all means. Let's change the number of things in the package. We can remove one umbrella and then change the price. We can remove one towel and change the price. So if the first quote that you gave for the mother of the baby boy is that you will give all the parents that came, you will give them two jota for mommy and daddy, two biro, then two mug, and then two towels. And you can change it by saying, okay, towel will remain one, biro we won't put any, but we'll leave two jota and two mug, and then this is the price. So yeah, so that's it. I won't be able to be back by 3 p.m. as I normally promise to do. So I'll be back much later to see if I can tackle the other aspects of the other aspects of Elizabeth's questions. So, Dr. Elizabeth, thanks for your suggestions and thanks for chiming in and keeping things lively. So I'll catch the rest of you in a couple of hours.